It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
Hello there, South Mississippi. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. Thank you for waking up with Wesley today. So, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, you know those folks, they predict the numbers for hurricane season. They're the organization that's in charge of the National Weather Service. Well, just like clockwork, every August, they always issue an update to their forecast numbers. We're going to take a look at those right now. They actually issued that update yesterday. So here's a look at the old numbers versus the new numbers. Their old numbers were back in May. They put those out, calling for 13 to 19 storms. The revision, the update, about the same. They took the max number down from 19 to 18. And then for hurricanes, 6 to 10, the update, about the same. They took both of those down by 1. And the number of major hurricanes, again, about the same, although they did take the minimum number of major hurricanes down by 1. So that is what we are finding with the update from NOAA's Hurricane Season 2025 prediction. And you compare all of those numbers to normal, and we find that the forecast message really is about the same here. They're still calling for near normal activity or above normal activity this year. Remember that when you're talking about normal and all these numbers, it's all a lot of numbers, but has nothing to do with locations and landfalls. So if we get between 13 to 18 storms this year, but they all happen over the Atlantic, then their forecast was correct. But it is a possibility that some of those can make landfall, so it is, of course, a concern at times during hurricane season. The good news about the current situation is that there's no named storm today. Dexter has actually fallen apart over the northern Atlantic, and so all that's left are a couple of tropical waves, one of them near the Atlantic, this one right here, which is continuing to move up toward the north and the west. So looks like there's probably not going to be any concern for the Atlantic coast of our country as in regards to that. But we can see off the Carolina coast, looks like there is one that's a bit closer to home there, but it is also moving away. I'm actually seeing now something called Invest 96L in our system. I hadn't seen this before, but I do wonder if that is the wave out in the Atlantic. Bear with me while I try to run some computer models, spaghetti models on that 96L to see what they show. So you're going to see an outdated map here. You know, while I do that, how about this? How about before I do all of this, I'm going to let y'all just take a beautiful look outside at our Beau Rivage cam while I get this graphic ready, and just enjoy and bask in the sunshine of the Beau Rivage tower cam this morning. And you can see again that beautiful view there of the beachfront in Biloxi, which is, you know, what you want to see this time of year. You want to see a nice looking summer day, and that's exactly what we find on that particular camera view. It's going to be that way for much of this morning. So if you got plans to be out and about, I mean, really soak up that sunshine and take advantage of those conditions. We'll take that cam a little bit more full so you can watch that view there. You can see the cars driving along the street along Beach Boulevard there. And it is, you know, we had some showers earlier this morning. We did have some closer to Jackson County, but those actually fell apart right as we got to the daybreak time frame. So that was a good thing, and now we don't have to worry about much rain, at least for now. Today actually has a relatively lower rain chance, so that means that you might not find as much rain on the map for Friday PM as we have seen in days earlier in this week. So I've almost got my graphic ready. Thanks for enjoying that beautiful view along the coast while you wait patiently for me to get that into gear. But I think that we are nearing that time when it is ready. I just got to pull it into the show, and then we'll be able to show you the spaghetti models for Invest 96L. So yeah, I just threw this together on the fly, and now it is ready. And now we will hit the play on that and take you back to our graphic system. So again, remember, this is a poorly defined tropical wave. It's not really a well-defined system or anything like that. So the models will always have some uncertainty regarding the, a very weak or newly formed disturbance. The National Hurricane Center gives this Invest 96L a medium chance to become a depression or storm. Let's hit the play button and see what these spaghetti models show. And this goes all the way through 7 days from today, so until next Friday, August 15th. And look how the majority of the lines here show this curve. First a movement to the northwest, but then a movement to the north, a bit of a turn. So that's good news there, as whatever we're tracking in the tropics looks like it's going to kind of stay away from our country. And that's what you want to hear in the first part of August. It may not stay that way in the second part of August, but if we take a look at the map, that was 96L. I guess it can plot it on there now that we know what that is. And you can see it right there with that L marked in the circle. But like you see, it's going to move up to the north. And then you have that other area offshore of the Carolinas that's going to move off to the northeast. So, you know, you're looking at the Gulf, and you don't see any tropical activity there. You're looking at the Caribbean, you don't see any tropical activity there. And the National Hurricane Center, at this moment in time, not really predicting any formation of any new systems in that zone for at least the next week or so. Like I said, when you go from the first half of August to the second half of August, you tend to see that increase in tropical activity. So we'll see if it stays this nice. Chances are it probably won't, and we're probably going to see a number of named systems in the Atlantic, Gulf, and Caribbean by the end of August. And then, of course, you hit the peak of hurricane season in early September, and then it's downhill from there. But there's a look at the latest headlines, which, again, even this needs to be updated because we don't have a Dexter anymore. It has fallen apart, so we just kind of update that and get rid of the Dexter headline. But there's a low chance for development near the Carolinas, and then at Atlantic Tropical Wave 96L. So we could, we now know that the Atlantic Tropical Wave is called 96L. It may become a depression or storm, but it is not expected to move toward the Gulf. And so the good news for the Mississippi coast is we actually don't have any credible threat of any significant tropical weather heading directly toward the Gulf Coast region over the next 5 to 7 days. So we'll switch gears now after that good tropical news and talk a little bit about the full moon. You might have noticed yesterday, well, I noticed yesterday morning as well as this morning that the moon was shining very brightly. This was a time lapse from Gulfport early Friday morning showing a very bright moon. And now, if you want to be technical about it, apparently the moon's not really full until tonight. So the Sturgeon moon is a Friday night event. And I hope that the clouds will allow us to get a nice view. We certainly had enough clearing for Friday morning to get a nice view of the nearly full moon. And hopefully we get a view heading into Friday night and Saturday morning. Now, you want to be kind of, technical about it. Let's talk about a full moon. What exactly is that? So first of all, when we talk about a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse and we talk about totality, for example, when all of Earth is hidden behind the moon's shadow during a solar eclipse, that, is 100% totality. Well, there's kind of a similar thing for a full moon too. The totality, a full moon when 100% of the moon is illuminated, that actually only lasts for a moment. And that moment for August 2025's moon will be Saturday, August 9th at about 2:56 a.m. So for that instant, absolutely 100% of the moon will be illuminated by the sun. And so that's why it's called a full moon. Now, here's the thing. The night of the full moon is basically the night closest to that 100% moment. And since that 100% moment happens early Saturday morning, the night closest to early Saturday morning is Friday night, tonight. So that's why I call tonight the night of the full moon, because it's going to be the night closest to that 100% moment. And if you didn't notice, it kind of looks pretty similar the night before and after. So if you were watching the moon on Thursday night into this morning, Friday morning, it looked full. And if you watch the moon again Saturday night into Sunday morning, it's going to look like it's full to the naked eye. Now, if you're a telescope user, maybe you might be able to tell a slight difference, but you can see that the difference in illumination. On a full moon night, the illumination is basically 99.5% to 100%. The nights before the full moon, the illumination is about 98%, and the night after the full moon, the illumination is about 99%. So, in general, you aren't going to really find that much of a difference on the nights before and after a full moon. Now, as far as August full moon, it's called the full sturgeon moon, and that is because sturgeon, a type of fish, is most readily caught during this time of year, during this part of summer in August. And it goes by a few other names: the blueberry moon, the green corn moon, the wheat cut moon. And like I said, that moment of 100% illumination happens Saturday just before 3 in the morning. So when can you see this full moon? Well, you can watch it rise Friday night, 7:38 p.m. Look to the eastern sky and you'll see a very impressive full moon, clouds permitting, a very impressive full moon coming up over the eastern horizon. So look east for that moon rise. And then the moon will set in the west on Saturday morning, just before 7 in the morning, around 6:30 in the morning. So a pretty cool thing to see, the full moon for August 2025. So let's take a look at the forecast real quick. There's not a whole lot to talk about in the forecast today because it's not doing a lot of weather out there for us. But we can take a look at some of the details regarding the rain chances. First, let's talk temperature. The temperatures are so nice. We got lower 90s expected, which is actually pretty close to normal for this time of year. Heat index might come up to about 100 at the very worst, which is still pretty good. You're noticing the rain chances, though, today, 30%. That's actually one of the lowest chances for rain out of any other day so far this week. So maybe we won't see as much rain activity. We can actually take a look at the futurecast real briefly. Noticing this morning, only about a 20% chance. And then we go to the Friday PM time frame and you get to that 30% chance. But the map does not have a lot of green on it, unlike other days this week when the futurecast had a lot of green on it for those other days. So it looks like the models are in pretty good agreement that we're not really going to see a ton of rain on Friday. I can't go 0% because the air technically has enough moisture for some rain to form. It's not impossible, so we can't go 0%. But it is the lowest chance that we've issued so far this week. Other days this week, the chance has been at 40%, 50%, maybe even a little bit higher in some cases. But today's 30%, and technically it's a 20 to 30%, is basically the lowest it's been all week. Well, here's the thing. It's not going to stay that low. We are expecting it to increase as we go into the weekend. It looks like we get to that higher or highest chance beginning around Sunday and continuing into early next week. Our models are still indicating an increase in rain potential. Notice that the lines most sharply go up around Sunday into early next week. They're not flatlining on Friday and Saturday. You can see some rain here. It's not a lot, but the sharpest increase, the best rain potential, sometime around Sunday into early next week. Why is that? We briefly touched on this yesterday. It's because of all of this, a big glob of tropical moisture sitting over Florida. That's going to move our way. So today, it's not here. There's enough moisture for maybe a few spotty pop-up storms, but not some big old glob of rain. We can take a look at Saturday. Okay, it's moved a little bit. It's moving off to the northwest. It's almost here, but not quite here yet. So maybe we can sneak in a mostly rain-free Saturday. We'll see. But take a look at Sunday. It's here. And so as that big glob of tropical moisture moves our way, it will become easier for rain showers and, frankly, widespread rain showers to begin forming sometime as early as Sunday, but then likely continuing into several days next week. Look at that Monday, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Can't even rule out next Thursday. You got basically anywhere from Sunday well into next week, multiple days of higher rain chances. And so by the time it's all said and done, you're looking at this zone along the Gulf Coast, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, all the coastlines there have a purple or red color, indicating rain amounts of about 2 to 3 inches spread out over a 7-day period. So it's manageable. It's not like it's going to be some high flooding risk or anything like that. As long as you spread out those days of rain, I guess it wouldn't be over a 7-day. It'd be mostly over a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a 5-day period of time with that much rain. And maybe if we're lucky, most of the rain will just happen over the water of the Gulf instead of all over the land on the coast. And so as we take a look, here we go, at your 7-day forecast, you can see that those chances for rain, like we said, are going to increase sometime around Sunday and early next week. Temperatures are not going to be at extreme at all. We're looking at temperatures pretty close to normal, around 90 for the next 7 days for the high temperatures. And this is actually really good because we've gotten through the first half of August. Well, this 7-day forecast gets us through the first half of August. And there's not really any sign of any extreme heat wave in sight, which is really a plus when you can get through August, the hottest month of the year on average, and not have to worry about a scorching hot weather pattern. This is definitely a plus. Hopefully the second half of August will be just as kind to us temperature-wise as the first half. I would also say hopefully it can be just as kind to us tropics-wise too, since fortunately so far this month we haven't had any major tropical impacts in our local area. Really hope that that can continue. For the rest of hurricane season 2025, wouldn't it be so nice to just have no storms directly impacting us on the Mississippi coast? Especially with this year being the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. I've got plans this weekend to go to WLOX.com or at least use the streaming app on my TV for WLOX News Now. We've got a whole playlist of videos on there that show some of our coverage from 20 years ago during Hurricane Katrina. I was not in South Mississippi at the time, so a lot of that stuff I may not have actually had a chance to watch before, especially this year that we've kind of unearthed and unvaulted, if you will, some footage that I don't think has been seen in many years. I know that we have our 2-DVD special that we often, refer to with coverage there, and I'm familiar with that. I have our DVD special, but these new videos that have been unearthed are some of that is not included in that 2-DVD special, and so you might be surprised with what you find if you open that video playlist on our website, which is also on our YouTube channel, and it's also on our streaming apps. You can see that video playlist of the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. So that's what I plan to do, and hopefully that's where we can keep that kind of weather in the past. No more, no redos of that. I would love that, and maybe many of you would love that so much as well. Well, that'll do it for this Friday edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. I hope that you have a great weekend, and we'll see you again next time. Till then, take care.
Waking Up with Wesley has been sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers.